Hi, Aaron. Thanks for joining me.
老师好，大家好。
May this moment serve others in a positive way.
Here, here.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hello, old master. That's what I said translates. Keen-eyed observers will notice that, yes, I am indeed in a hospital room, and we will get into that.
Yeah. And I am in my living room.
Great. Thank you so much for the invitation, Michael.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Aaron. You're very welcome. In putting together this class, my goal is to sort of try and capture as much wisdom as possible from you and myself and others who have been practicing for a while and cultivating, gathering experience, so that we can bring that to new practitioners and students of this medicine.
I love it so much.
Yeah, and I think my intention is that as great as teachers are in the acupuncture schools, and as great as the texts can be, that there's something that often is missing in the study of medicine and in the study of acupuncture, which has to do with some of the more esoteric things, or things that are harder to describe or define in what we do as acupuncturists and on a day-to-day basis, working with people. And for those of
Agreed.
you who don't know, Aaron worked with me. Aaron was a student of mine originally,
Right.
a keen
Way back in the day.
student, and then also went on to work with me for several years in the community clinic, and also practiced in private practice for many years now. And
Yeah, if we count my time as a student, I've been putting needles in people for about 15 years.
that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna shift
Yeah,
my
so I
camera
think,
slightly here, so
yeah,
my gestures get a little better captured.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the goal of this conversation is to be able to capture and hear from you just some of your own reflections on that practice, and um, for the benefit of, as I said, of other new practitioners and students. So
Absolutely. There's so much about what it means to be a medicine person and what medicine itself means that is just not in the curriculum, which is fine and makes sense. It's not what we would call our, core competencies, things that you need to have in order to, not screw up when you're starting out. And some of these things are, hard learned or learned only by good fortune. As you say, the more esoteric, the more person to person. And I'm really, really stoked that you're doing this class generally and these interviews to pluck out those gems.
yeah,
Of
and
the deeper.
as we get started, like some of the words and ideas that pop into my head as we're talking, and that we don't hear much in school, are things like co-regulation, intuition, the use, the place of intuition in
Even
practice.
chi sense, really.
Key sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Holding space. What does it
Yeah.
mean to hold space?
Hold space and create containers
Yeah,
and be a template and all of this. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
this could probably be in many hours conversation.
probably could.
Fortunately, we did some prep and narrowed down what we're going to talk about. Is there anything you'd really want to get us out the gate with, or shall I kick it off?
I think if you want to riff on any of those kinds of ideas, and we we talked previously before recording. We talked a little bit about your perspectives around healing and being a healer, and what does that mean, and what does that look like? And
Yeah, one of my favorite teachings. We can definitely start there.
yeah, I think that really resonated with me, what you had to say about that. So if you
Thanks.
want to start with that, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a somewhat formal teaching called "The Only Person I've Ever Healed Is Me." And it goes down to this term that gets used a lot, healer. You know, we've all heard it all over the place, those of us who've immersed ourselves in these fields. And we get called that, and some of us call ourselves that. And this is, in some sense, is a cautionary teaching. The only person I've ever healed is me. And what that means is that healing involves at least three things. There's the medicine person, which is my preferred terminology, although it has, a certain association with a certain culture in sort of common parlance. I haven't found a better one. The medicine person, the medicine, and the patient. So what can happen when we use the word healer is that we think of the medicine person doing something to the patient which heals them. This is a healer. They heal. Then this person is healed. And I wouldn't say that that is an entirely false way of going about it. We can transmit qi to our patients and fill them up with this sort of qi or that sort of qi, clear out toxic stuff, all of this. This is more a medical qigong, a weigong sort of stuff. Wei meaning external, distinct from neigong, which is more like, the Chinese version of yoga type qigong. But in my personal opinion, it is not a good approach. It is not sustainable, for one. And it does some really perilous things for the doctor-patient relationship, as well as our relationship with our practice and even our self-concept. So when we have the perspective that we heal someone, that removes a lot of agency from them in the healing process. It renders the patient a passive recipient of our healing power. And then when we stop doing our thing, where are they, right? So that's part of it. Another part of it is that if we think we heal people, then it's very attractive to become attached to the outcome, because it's a reflection on our own ability, value, all of that. And we will start well, the main thing is getting emotionally invested. and trying super, super hard to have things turn out well. And then if our treatment is not successful, taking it as a personal reflection on our own abilities. And if the treatment is successful, taking it as a personal reflection on our own abilities. I fell into this when I was just starting out. And I remember someone had a really great outcome, like very transformative set of sessions. And I'm gonna like age myself here, but I was in the staff bathroom singing "I Am Superman and I Can Do Anything" by REM. And was feeling that. And, that's great, but that way madness lies. Because what if you fail? What does that mean about you? And then, because we don't want the pain of that, we'll even start not seeing the situation accurately. We'll start seeing progress that isn't there. We'll miss problems because we've become attached to the outcome because it's a reflection on our own skill and value. What I say happens, the medicine person brings the medicine. The patient and the medicine interact. There's a process that happens. We hold the container for that, the crucible, the alchemical crucible. But the person meets the medicine, and how they meet it, varies depending on the medicine. Anything from words to the activation of points. And through whatever the patient brings, and the medicine being appropriate, that's where healing happens. We've done our part. This is when the healing happens. And it's up to them to meet the medicine well, to a large extent. Where our responsibilities come in is to bring the medicine skillfully and hold a good container while the person meets it. We have to bring the right medicine. We have to set up a situation where they're receptive to it. And I can talk more about that. I have a couple things. And we have to be able to hold the space while the medicine and them do their thing, which can get really intense sometimes.
Yeah, I think that I really like that. I think of it as like being an intermediary. Like I really like what you're saying about the medicine and the person, because a lot of times when I'm practicing, I feel like I'm an intermediary or something is moving through me. And so in that sense, I'm delivering the medicine, but it's not really about me at all. And sometimes it feels like it doesn't really even involve my thinking brain. It's about being this sort of conduit, if you will, for that process.
Hear, hear.
And then I think if you hold that attitude, then as you say, whatever happens, you can be present and welcoming. So whether that's nothing at all, or as you say, like sometimes there might be some kind of extreme response, but if you're in that state, you can really be present for whatever is showing up. And the other thing I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. If it's going to be long, I have a little story to interject. But if it's short, I'll tell the story afterwards.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
All right. This is one of my crazier stories from practice. And it happened at Hemma, Michael's former community clinic. So this story's up on my YouTube channel too, I think. So it was a busy shift. The place was full. This woman came in who was a regular, semi-regular, and she was just having a horrible day. this is a number of years ago. I forget the details. But she had like serious complex health stuff. Her son had serious complex health stuff. He wasn't doing well. She wasn't doing well. And she came in for relief. And one of the things was she had this splitting headache. It was just ruining her ability to live life. We have 10 minutes, right, in the community clinic. And this was such a just tangled web of a pattern. And I was like, God damn, how do I even start here? And what came to me and what I did is I prayed. I straight up knelt there by the lazy boy, just fingers on the pulses, and asked my ancestors and spirit guides, her ancestors and spirit guides, show me the points. Looked at her chi body, because that's an ability I have, which I think anyone can cultivate with the right teachers and enough practice. And saw these points light up like little stars. And I was like, okay, I have nothing better to go on. I will put the needles in these places. So I did. The next day I came into work and there was a bouquet of flowers on the front desk from her because the treatment had been so effective. So it's good. Leave that and make of it what you will. But that is apropos of being a channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting hearing you describe that, because I realize we all have our own way of doing that, right? Like that happens to me frequently when I'm, taking the pulse. For me is that practice of opening myself up to what is needed here. One of my practitioners taught me that, it's like always ask what is needed, and so that's sort of a short little prayer in a way that I might say, and then little points will start to pop into my head, not as little stars necessarily, but but as literal places on the body that I'll visualize, but it makes me think that we each have those ways of opening to that. And and how do we get there, Aaron? How do we get from poring over Deadman and the Chinese acupuncture and Max Sebastian book to getting to that place where we can kneel down beside a lazy boy and pray for the acupuncture points?
Practice qigong every day.
Yeah, you think
that's it? I mean, honestly, that I've spent half my life, like I started really, really deeply in qigong and internal martial arts when I was 20. I am now 40, so half my lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And for 20 years, 420, pretty diligently helped me develop chi sense, which does everything for our practice. I'd say that's the number one thing. In the old days, there was no way you could become a Chinese medicine practitioner without having a solid qigong practice. It was just not considered like the done thing to separate those two. Sun Tzu Miao's 8 limbs of Chinese medicine, qigong is right there. You're supposed to be good at feng shui, all this stuff. I see we have like half an hour. I'm going to launch into my sort of prepared teachings, if that's cool.
For sure, yeah.
Awesome. First, because some people might be just still sitting with that curiosity from the beginning. Context. So yeah, I don't look it, but if I had my shirt off, I would. I'm actually a palliative cancer patient at the moment, basically living at the hospital with stage 4 metastasized colorectal cancer. The general consensus is I don't have terribly long to live. So this is part of the last things I'm doing. I'm delighted to have the opportunity. And, you know, I still might be around when this gets aired. Miracles do happen. We've read many of these stories. So, number 1. Throat drop here. Join them in their reality. And what this means is Chinese medicine is a very distinct reality. Alternative medicine is a very distinct reality. We have our own sense of the reality in which medicine works best for us. This does not create the most ideal container necessarily for medicine to work. The most ideal medicine container is the one where the person feels receptive. And that has to do with feeling comfortable, with feeling seen, with feeling met, with feeling held. So it's really like trying to get a sense of what your patient's values are, what their priorities are, what the sort of things that they care about are. And in a sense, like, tailoring how we present medicine, how we present the work in the clinic, how we even present ourselves a little bit. Like, I will change the way I talk, use more or fewer contractions, use fancier words, use more British or American type pronunciation, say pronunciation. Depending on what my patient's reality is. And I have found that to be just an important part of it, especially because we really want to pull them into the magic and the possibilities. And, you know, I hear stories of like really normal ass people who go to an acupuncturist and the acupuncturist makes them pull a tarot card, you know, to help guide the chi of the treatment. And they're like, what's this? It does the opposite of creating a container. And if that practitioner had paid attention to who this person is, they would not have done that, at least if they followed this approach of joining them in their reality, rather than come join me in mine. You know, such invitations are okay, but subtly. So that's one. And it segues nicely into one that I call deepening comes organically. You know, Will, it's getting really exposed light-wise in my room. Angle of the sun. Oh.
You're looking good.
Thank you. It is not for us to determine how deep the medicine goes and when it goes there, if it goes there. You know, we all love it when someone comes in for a sore knee and it turns into then working on like their spleen and then their relationship with nourishment and then their relationship with their mom and like all this stuff. It's amazing. This medicine can hold that. And that's how it becomes deeply transformative. you know, I started going for Chinese medicine treatment because when I was 9 years old, I developed what would be later diagnosed as Crohn's disease, which forms a direct line to the colorectal cancer that is currently probably killing me. And damn, where was I going with that? How did I start out that sentence?
Let's see, you were
Oh,
talking
deepening.
about
Deepening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I originally went just because, you know, my guts were inflamed all the time and such. And it turned out being this deep dive into like shame and family lineage karma and, you know, profound. And that was my destiny, right? Other people, it's not their destiny to come in for physical things and have it become something that changes who they are. And it's not for us to drag them there. That's the thing. You know, we can invite looking into the meaning of things, but some people, it's not where their journey's at yet. And I've had innumerable patients start to transform, and then I never see them again. It's too confronting. It puts too much tension on other strands of the pattern of their life. You know, the potential for deepening is really, really strong with this medicine. Excuse me. And we can trust it, let's say. Bee medicine. This comes from my teacher, Michael Smith. There's also a really fantastic book called The Shamanic Way of the Bee, which is about bee medicine that I recommend for anyone who's interested in like shamanism and stuff. Bee shamanism, who knew? Yeah, interesting look at like, again, what medicine means. So Mike said, in order to do this work, it's not enough to be skillful at bringing the medicine. You also have to be it. And what that meant is to cultivate our chi in such a way that there's an emanation and a template. Template comes from my teacher, Noel Taylor. It's sort of a mix of two. Emanate a chi, hold a template, an energetic blueprint, such that simply by being in your presence, there is a medicine that people interact with and potentially heal. So this is the subtle thing in how you just are unconsciously acting, how chi is flowing through us, how our channels and fields are. Being a template, because people sort of naturally, vibrationally entrain with one another, especially when there's a strong connection happening, which optimally is occurring in your sessions. And people unconsciously will start to have an energy body and a vibration that is similar to this thing that they're being very receptive with. And again, this comes down to a lot of qigong. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I often refer to that as being the bigger version of yourself. Being a bigger version of yourself. That's the way I think of that.
I want to hear more about that.
Well, I think that, I mean, my own feeling is that we each have a soul that resides in our physical body, and that soul is capable of much more than our mind, our conscious sort of thought brain. And that if we connect with that when we go into the clinic space, we can embody this bigger version of ourselves, practice essentially being this bigger version of ourselves. And that in some ways makes me think of what you're describing, such that just by your mere presence, you're cultivating the possibility of change or healing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful feeling. And especially in like the community clinic, really can really feel, I always found the presence that the practitioner was bringing, and it just like created this whole vibe in the space. It was really, really something. And everybody would settle into it. It's very, very temple-like sometimes in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ritual space.
I'm highly ritualistic in my practice. Like for example, I always start my needling on the left. A lot about standing facing south. And then the Qigong practices that I do before and after each session. I definitely took on a more priestly, shamanic approach to the practice of the medicine, even when I wasn't literally praying for points. It just seemed to be what A, I enjoyed, and B, what got good outcomes. And, you know, sometimes it was well reflected. On more than one occasion, a patient would pay me by e-transfer and force me to say yes to "Are you a wizard?" in order to get money. Always tickled me. Segueing again, your professional practice is an extension of your personal practice. I firmly believe that how well we hold space for the medicine is dependent on how solid our meditation, qigong, yoga, etc. practice is. Everyone has their personal practice. You just gotta like have one to do this work. I have a very, very firm belief you will not last without it. It's a big game to play, and big self-care is vital. Vital. And you'll find your own mix. And I, like a surprising number of acupuncturists, was really, really into Ashtanga yoga. So, you know, you'll find your stuff. Yeah, an extension of your personal practice. It goes down to how well we keep our chi, and simply how conscious, present we're able to stay during this, you know, very demanding work, especially when the rest of our life is shit and we need to keep it together. You can't really have like an off day doing Chinese medicine, because that'll really impact people. You know, it's good to have your stock point combinations for when your brain isn't working that great, but you have to at least have a few things that you hold. So that. I highly recommend learning some Chinese culture and language. It provides an understanding of the like foundational, almost cognitive structure of this medicine that we practice. I did Chinese language intensively at UBC for a year as part of my prerequisites, and found it super, super useful in TCM foundations. It's like, oh yeah, that kind of works with how like Chinese grammar works. I feel that it helped me grasp the medicine in a particular way. And, you know, it's cool to learn a really different language, and it'll help you communicate with the camp guards in a decade or two. Terrible. You can delete that if you want. So just that.
Yeah.
My first teacher, Mike Smith, was very big in knowing some Chinese culture. He taught me a lot of Taoist philosophy, sort of on the side when I was taking all these Qigong classes, and it, I mean, helped in everything.
Yeah.
For success, be good, be special, be lucky, be persistent. So what is be good? Obvious. For success, your treatments need to work. So again, this is about bringing the medicine skillfully, holding the container skillfully. If you start healing people, it will be a bad scene. And to go way, way back, I always made a point of sharing this teaching when a patient would say something either directly or that strongly implied that I healed them. No, no, no. You healed. I did what I did. I brought medicine, however you want to articulate that. Sometimes that's just what I would say. I brought the medicine. We'd say, like, no, I activated the points that you did the healing. And you can expand that and say, like, it was your intention and your vision that brought you here. It was your ability to, what would we say, like, meet the things that were being asked of you as this process went on. Whatever they did, and you'll see what they did. Reflect that back. Just, disabuse them of the notion that you healed them. I strongly recommend this for your sake and theirs. Yeah, humility is really important, as an aside. And it's important to take credit for being good at what you do. False humility is dumb. Sherlock Holmes, I think, said that it is just as irrational to pretend one's strengths don't exist as one's weaknesses, something like that. Be good. Your treatments need to work in order for you to be successful. And this goes back to all the things. Be special. Especially in a place that has a lot of practitioners, like if you're planning on sticking around on the island or moving to Nelson. Vital to stand out. You can stand out just by being good, but that takes a while. And then it takes a while for your reputation to spread. We be special by learning other things. For me, it was Jin Shin Do body-mind acupressure and medical Qigong. Jin Shin Do is virtually impossible to find anymore for kind of boring and sad story reason. but acupressure generally is a great skill to like legit get good at. And there are other good ones out there. And medical Qigong, just because I've always been drawn to Qigong. Or you can have special interests in particular, fields that are not very well served, be it skin stuff or exorcism or what have you. And it's part of medical Qigong. I have a book on it. Encounters with malevolent spirits. Big part of the old ways. So being special is, I think, important, especially in a crowded market. Be lucky. Honestly, my career didn't like take off and be able to comfortably support me until I got hired at Hemma, a well-established, busy clinic, and at another well-established, fairly top-tier, busy clinic. An established client base, a super well-run admin side of things. It makes all the difference. That's when you get your break, like an actor getting a big part. I wish it were different, but it's true. Joining a really good clinic is kind of the #1 determinant, but you still need to be good and maybe special. And then how do all of these come? Be patient. I graduated in 2009. It was 2013 that I started being able to support myself just with Chinese medicine. It's fine. And that's just, what to expect. It's not a profession we go into to make a lot of money. And depending on, your destiny, it'll go as it goes. But yeah, I had a side gig for a while. And then, because I was patient, these awesome opportunities showed up. And then I became very, very busy, very successful. Now, having moved to the Kootenays and set up in Rossland, I found a good clinic, and I'm also just really good by now at Chinese medicine, and that gave word of mouth some real rocket fuel. But yeah, patience and persistence. The first virtue, they say. Patience.
If I may, I might add one thing to this, to the be special part.
Please.
You mentioned in one way, like specializing or having special interests. I also think it's about being yourself, being able to really share who you are. Because I guess on some level, I feel like we're all special. And if we really understand what our own unique specialness is, and we can really present that to people in a humble but sincere, authentic, full way, that's an attractive experience. People are wanting to connect with you, Aaron, as a person, and not just this traditional Chinese medicine doctor, And so I think if I think about you yourself and others who have succeeded in clinic space, it's because of your ease and comfort in just being yourself, also just in the way you are today.
Thanks for the reflection, and 100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah, this opens up a whole conversation about how relational medicine is. Chinese medicine, I think, lends itself really well to that as well. Yeah, the relationship is a vital part of the healing process. And bringing our self. Exactly. I've always found when I go for treatments, the more just authentically like a character, like the person the practitioner is, the more I feel their medicine, the more I feel trusting of softening into the container that they hold. Like, yeah, this person knows themselves, they're comfortable with themselves, they are stoked that carrying medicine is part of that. And for your patients, even if they don't like say that, last sort of thing, which kind of is, an insider type thing, they'll sense it. Yeah, Chinese medicine in particular is full of like characters, quirky individuals, in my experience.
Yeah.
And I think it is because it comes from a tradition, Taoism, that really, I mean, Taoism, it's the character itself can be read as like a person with messy hair walking down the road. So it's like this, this sadhu wandering shamany type person. There's a lot of ways to read that. And then like Ziran, which is a basic Taoist ethic, literally translates more as self-nature. And it's all about that, being authentic. Your the, your what is often translated as virtue has more to do with your unique individual, like puzzle piece shape in the great puzzle that is the universe unfolding. And your destiny is going, which relies on your distinct shape being clear and known. You have Ming, your destiny, like Mingmen, the point between the kidneys, gate of destiny. It said that there is a second invisible umbilical cord that goes up to the heavens and carries our contract with heaven. And when we're going along our life path, the second umbilical cord carries this spiritual qi to the Mingmen Huo, the fire at the gate of destiny, which gives us all this like juice in our fundamental kidney yin and kidney yang, which is why you see people who are, in line with their purpose, have this drive, this energy. It's mostly what I'm fed by right now, that and like total parenteral nutrition directly into my veins. Yeah, this with these projects that I'm doing at this end of life chapter. Yeah, the Mingmen Huo. So I think that, learning, some Taoist philosophy about the Wu Wei Ziran helps a lot in, maybe some ideas of like why we do medicine, why we find ourselves doing medicine. It wasn't my plan. It was never my vision to practice medicine. It came upon me due to personal experience at just the right time. I was 20, it was career picking time. I had just gotten disillusioned with the environmental activist movement, but still had this really big drive to, make direct positive change in the world. Just one person at a time seemed to be the shift there. No, time is running short.
I really appreciate some of your sharings today, Aaron, and I resonate really deeply with them. And I feel like it's it's a long experience of practice that have brought all those together for you and and I think they're very helpful and important things to really consider and keep in mind. And and really join with this other knowledge that we spend a lot of time in school developing around meridians and points and Zongfu diagnosis. And
Yep. Yeah, you can have all the book learning, but and it's like, if it isn't carried well, you know, it's not gonna get met.
yeah,
And that's the big one. This is unquestionably a path. You cannot expect to leave Chinese medicine school unchanged. And you cannot expect that change to cease once you're out practicing, in my experience. Simply having it flowing through us so much, it will not stop doing its thing. Is there anything else that you particularly wanted to cover, or wanted clarification on, that I may have mentioned?
nothing's coming to my mind right in this moment. How about for you? Is there anything else that you're feeling? Yeah,
It's rather mundane. Learn to freehand.
learn to freehand. Yeah.
Yeah. Learning to freehand will allow you to maintain constant chi sense while activating points. And for me, that is very, very important in especially a style of needling that I adopted from Japanese acupuncture, which is much more shallow. There's a good little essay called Staying Superficial in Order to Go Deep, which I shall send to Michael. Maybe he'll share it with you in this class, which offers a pretty radically different concept of how the qi works, and how activating points can be. And it relies on subtle qi sense, which I think is best through freehanding. And if you're really good at freehanding, it is less painful than using tubes.
Yeah.
Practice it and learn it while you're in school, because when you start, you will suck. And people who come to see you in school expect you to suck. You're like, "Ow, that was painful." And you're like, "Well, whatever, I'm paying $10 to be here." So yeah, learn freehand, learn it now. Don't learn it when you're charging full price. That's what I got.
Okay.
Yeah. 900 out of 1,000 needles that I put in, I do freehand, I could say. And that. And there was one other thing that was much more substantial and significant. The heck was it? It wasn't a biggie, though. Oh, yeah. Right. Different thing. I have established a memorial scholarship, the Aaron Banfield Memorial Scholarship for Chinese Medicine. And if you found some value in this, I would appreciate you contributing to the education of a Chinese medicine student who is entering the field because they were personally transformed by Chinese medicine and wish to share this gift with others. And Michael will have info on how you can do that. I would really appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron. That's a good cause for sure.
Thanks. And so I got into it, changed my life. I wanted to share that with others.
And as you have, thank you so much for all you've given.
Yeah.
And all you offered.
Yeah. And to those of you thinking, yeah, but you're dying of cancer at 40. Well, what can I say? I wouldn't have made it this far.
Mhm. Mhm.
Or be in the kind of shape I'm in.
Mm.
No, the medicine did not fail me.
Mm.
All right.
Okay.
This has been great honor and a lot of fun. And I'll
Mm.
just smash my computer. A great honor and a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Aaron.
And many blessings to all of you in your education, your career, wherever being on the path of this medicine takes you, you know, even if you choose not to do it as a profession, which is very valid and common, ultimately. You know, they say education's never a waste, and I think this one in particular qualifies that way. Yeah, there's so many benefits, especially if we dive into the subtler sides.
So many benefits and so many ways to help others too.
Quite.
Yeah.
All right. Well, bye, everyone. And thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Aaron, so much.